Hello, my name is Grace Egbo and welcome to my kitchen. Now for those who are subscribed to my channel, you can clearly see that this is a totally different scene from my usual videos. Reason being is because this is a totally different video, because here we're going to be making some raw pizza. Now the reason why I'm doing this video is because I've got a number of friends who are going raw or who want to incorporate more raw dishes into their daily diet, and many of them have been asking me about making different raw recipes. And some time ago I made a raw pizza which was absolutely delicious, and many people are always asking me how do I make the raw pizza, and it can be difficult to explain some of the processes. So I thought it would be easier for me to make the video so I can share it with them, but also with my extended YouTube family, so others also can be benefited from this recipe and also share with others. Now, let me make a note that I don't always eat this way, simply because this is quite a high fat recipe. Even though it's raw, you still don't want to have too much fat in your diet because it slows you down and it can cause some problems. And what makes it fat is just cashew nuts. Cashew nuts are very high in calories, namely fat, and you don't want to have too much fat in your diet. However, this recipe is 10 times or even 1,000 times better than your usual conventional pizza that you get from Pizza Hut, Pizza Express or Domino's Pizza. So this is a much more healthier, nutritious recipe, and it's good for those who are seeking to transition into a raw diet, because when you make foods with lots of ingredients that are dehydrated and processed, it can mimic that cooked food feel, and some people get those cravings when they do transition to a raw food diet. So that's just to help them. But nevertheless, even though it's got a bit of fat in it, it is still very, very healthy. It's still got some good stuff in it. Now the ingredients that I'm going to use to make this pizza is buckwheat groats. Now buckwheat groats is not actually from the wheat family. The name is pretty deceptive. Buckwheat is like a fruit seed, and it's very good for you, and it's very nutritious, and it's much more healthier than wheat. It's also gluten free, so it's basically good enough for everyone. It's high in protein as well, so it's a fantastic seed, I should say. So it's very good for you. So we're using buckwheat groats as the base. We would also be using buckwheat flour, Physllium Husk, that will act as the binding agent when we make the dough. We'll be using cashew nuts, fresh rosemary, Himalayan salt, paprika, spinach, raw coconut amino acids. That's similar to like tamari or soy sauce. Difference is that it's raw and it's much more nutritious. It's got a high amino content acid, which is very good for you, and the balance is quite neutral, so it's not very acidic. I'll also be using honey, baby corn, onion, red pepper and nutritional yeast. So there's quite a lot of ingredients, and recipes such as this come under the classification of gourmet raw due to its high ingredient content and the fact that it is quite a fatty recipe due to the cashew nuts. Nevertheless, I believe you can still get some benefits from it. Now what you'll need to make this dish is a dehydrator. Now a dehydrator, all it simply does is just remove the water from the food. It doesn't cook the food. If you set it to 115 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius, it just removes the water, and it's classified as raw because all the nutrition still remains in the food. So it doesn't remove the nutrition, it just removes the water. You'll be using also a Vitamix. If you don't have a Vitamix, you could use a powerful blender. That's just to make the cashew nut cheese. And we'll also be using a food processor as well to help make the dough. However, you can get away with maybe using the Vitamix to use it and then using your hand to add some of the flour in it. But I'll explain that as we continue in the video. So let's get cracking. Day 1. Pour some buckwheat groats into a bowl or a container, and then pour some water over the buckwheat groats, and then we let it sit for about an hour to an hour and a half. About 1 hour and a half later, we now rinse the buckwheat groats, and then I put it in a 3-tier tower so it can sprout efficiently. I then let it sit for another 12 hours. About another 12 hours later, I now rinse the buckwheat once again and then let it sit for another 12 hours. About another 12 hours later, you can see that the buckwheat has sprouted by its white towel, so it is actually ready to eat. It is ready to process. But I'm tired and I'm going to wait another 12 hours and start it in the morning. So about another 12 hours later, I wake up in the morning and I can see my buckwheat has sprouted. You can tell by the long white towel that it has sprouted efficiently and it's nutritionally packed and in fact ready to eat. So what I'll do then is now rinse the buckwheat once again, and I then put it in a food processor, as you can see here. I then add some Physllium Husk into the mixture. I then add some buckwheat flour into the mixture. Again, this will all just help to hold it so it becomes doughy like. I then add some Himalayan salt to add to the flavouring. I then add some honey. Here I put about 3 tablespoons of honey. I don't measure, hardly ever measure when cooking. I just kind of go by my intuition, so I'm very sorry about that. But I'm sure it kind of gives you a rough idea how to make it according to how you desire. And I'll put the lid on and then I pulse. This is just to get all the ingredients, you know, together. And then we process. I then add some flour just to make it a bit more doughy. It's still pretty soft, very liquid. I want it to be more tougher, so I'm adding more flour just to make sure I have that strong dough texture. I then put the lid on, I pulse, and then I process the mixture. As you can see, it has that dough-like texture, becoming very hard, exactly how I want it. I now put the dough on the Teflon sheet, that's the dehydrated sheet. You can see it's very tough and doughy-like. I then mould it into the shape that I desire. You can choose any shape you like, but I'm going for the traditional pizza base, which is a circle. But you can do a rectangle, triangle, whatever you prefer. But you can see how firm and tough the dough is and how it sticks well together. That's exactly how I want it. I now flatten it out on the sheet. You want to have it pretty flat just so it can dehydrate quicker. I mean, the thicker you have it, the longer it takes to dehydrate. So it's up to your preference. You might want a crispy one, or you want to make it a bit, you know, fatter. So here I'm just flattening it out to the shape that I desire. And there I have my ideal shape, which is a circle. I now place it in the dehydrator. I'm putting it on at about 115 degrees. All it's doing is removing the water. Now while that's going on, I now chop some baby corn. I'm going to use this as part of my topping. Chop the baby corn, put a bit of Himalayan salt going in there. Chuck in a bit of paprika. Throw in a bit of Italian herb seasoning. And then I put in the coconut amino acids. Very rich and gives it that yummy taste. I then mixed it all in together. And then I pull it on the dehydrator sheet. Once I have it all flattened out, I now put it in the dehydrator. So it's been about 4.5 hours. So what we're going to do now is just turn the pizza base around. So just get the pizza. This is the pizza. that's what it looks like at the moment. What we're going to do is just put that on top of it, just so it keeps everything smooth, and then you turn it around like that, and then you move the sheet, and there we have the flat set. There you can see the pizza. So it's coming along quite well. Dough's pretty strong, and I'm just going to put it back in the dehydrator now. Okay, so what we are going to now do is make the raw cashew nut sauce, which is going to act like a cheese topping. So what I have here is some cashew nuts. Now these are truly raw cashew nuts. Most of the cashew nuts that you buy in the shops have actually been dehydrated to high temperature so they can last longer, where these are the raw cashew nuts, no chemicals, they haven't been touched, and you'll be able to see that they are slightly larger than your usual cashew nuts, and they taste much better. All the nuts that I buy now, I buy them from particular outlet, and they are all raw, and you'll notice the taste dramatically much more tastier, and the nuts are much more bigger and full of flavor. So if you can afford to, they are a bit more expensive, try and go for the raw nuts, because you certainly will get more out of them. Now one of the things that I don't do, which can be seen as pretty bad, is that I never measure when I cook. I just don't measure, and usually it turns out fine. I just don't measure, so I just kind of give it a rough estimate, and then, you know, for what I believe I need, then usually it turns out right. So hopefully it'll be the case with this one. So what I'm going to do is just put some of the cashew nuts into the fighting mix. Maybe that's about a cup or so, I think. Okay, I'm going to add, this is like onion, maybe about half or quarter of an onion. It's optional. I love onions, so I'm going to add it to it. Got rosemary. Now this is the key ingredient to making delicious cashew nut sauce. So you just washed it and just put some of it in. As I mentioned, I don't measure, I just kind of guess, which is not always good. And then I've got nutritional yeast as well, adds to give it a cheesy flavour. Just put some in there. Got Himalayan salt. This is the best salt around that you can buy. It's made up of, I think, about 81 minerals or something, and it's really good for your pH and everything. You can't have too much of it apparently, because it's really good, and your body does need some kind of natural salt. And also got organic Italian herb seasoning, so I'll just sprinkle a bit of that on it, and then add a bit of water. Now it's up to you how you want it thick. Some want it pretty thick, some want it pretty smooth. I have mine kind of medium, so just turn it on. So I left that on for about 30 seconds or so, I think. It's still pretty too thick for my liking. I'm just going to add a bit more water. Finish the whole thing. Yeah, that's great. Vitamix is one of the best blenders around. It just keeps things so smooth. And this smells delicious. Oh, that's exactly how you want it. I hope you can see this. Whoa. This cashew nut sauce always goes down a treat. Everyone loves it, and it can go, I mean, you don't want to have too much of it because it is high in fat, and cashew nuts, to be honest, is not the most healthiest nut, but it does taste nice. So there you have it, and this will go on the pizza. Cashew nut sauce, there you can see it up close. Hi guys, I'm back, and I've cut the toppings that I'm going to use. I've got fresh spinach here, which has been washed. I've got the cashew nuts sauce here. I've got red Romano peppers here, which I've chopped. I've got the corn, the baby corn, which has been dehydrated. I've got some tomatoes, baby tomatoes, and some onions. So what I'm going to do now is take the pizza out of the dehydrator, which is currently on. You can have it longer if you want a more crispier base. That's not a problem. This is fine for me. I don't like it too crispy personally, and I'm in a hurry as well, so I need to try and do this quickly. So what I'm going to do now is just put the cashew nuts sauce, you know, on the pizza base, and you know, and just, you know, just spread it around. I hope you can see it here. Just spread it. You can see how lovely that looks. That just looks so delicious. I'm not going to use all the sauce because, as I mentioned, cashew nuts is pretty high in fat, and I don't want to use too much of it. Maybe it's not so bad actually, because I'm not really using all the cashew nuts, and it's mixed with water, so it's probably not too bad. But as I mentioned earlier, you can have a pesto sauce or tomato sauce if you want. It's each to their own, whatever you prefer. You can have your own toppings as well, what you prefer. I'm going to put the spinach next just to hold it flat. This is just fresh spinach. I haven't cut it. I'm just going to put it on top of the pizza. I mean, this is just from my personal consumption, but there are ways in which you can make it prettier if you want to do that. But for me, it's fine. I just need to hurry up. You can use kale if you want. You don't have to use spinach. It's, you know, as I mentioned, it's up to you what you like, what you prefer. I mean, you can cut off these parts if you want, but these like the stem, but I like to keep the stem in because it's very nutritious. I'm more concerned really with nutrition than presentation, or as long as I'm trying to get the best out of the food. I mean, cutting the stems off will make it a bit prettier, I must say, but for me it's fine. Base, okay, best done. So you've got your fresh greens in, and if you watch the presentation which I did some time ago on Bible and diet, it will tell you why greens are so essential, fresh greens in the human diet. So put the greens there. I'm now gonna go for the red peppers next. And I'll put some of the tomatoes as well. Fresh tomatoes. I'm now going to put the onions. Hope you can see it. I'm not blocking you all. I'm now going to put the dehydrated corn. Dehydrated corn, baby corn, is delicious. It just gives like a crunchy, yummy taste. Really does. I'm also going to add a bit of this coconut amino sauce because I really like it. Just give it some flavour. You can add extra salt if you want. It's each to their own. So there we have my raw pizza, and this is going to go back into the dehydrator. So this is the pizza close up. Gonna put it back in the dehydrator, maybe for half an hour or an hour or so. I mean, you can leave it longer if you want. If you want to be more crispier, more crunchier, remove the water. But as I mentioned, I'm short on time, so I don't want to leave it for too long. And you can even eat it now like this if you want. This is probably the best way to have it, where it's got the water in it, which helps with digestion, and all, you know, in its fully fresh state as the Lord designed it. So there's no problem having it like that. But I'm just going to leave in the dehydrator just a little bit longer, and then I will eat. So guys, this is the raw pizza complete. I left it in the dehydrator for about half an hour. You can leave it longer if you want that more crispier taste, but this is fine for me. And there is a salad that's just left over from the topping, so I'm just going to eat that with the pizza. But it does looks amazing, doesn't it, really? And imagine that is raw. How healthy is that? It's fantastic. And you can make your own as well if you like. So what I'm going to do now is cut the pizza. See, cut really well. It's fantastic. Look at that. It looks like the cheese is all droopy. It looks like droopy cheese. So cut, the ends are a bit hard to cut. So there's the pizza. Doesn't that look good? And here's what I've just cut for myself here. Well, that's my meal complete. I guess the main thing you all want to know is, does it taste good? Well, let me give it a try. But before I do, let me just say my prayer to thank the Lord for providing me with this meal. So now I'm going to give it a try. Guys, you have to make this if you haven't tried it. It is delicious. I mean, anyone, I believe anyone would love this meal. It's delicious. Now, if you would like to see more recipes, raw recipes, healthy recipes, vegan recipes, please let me know, and I'll happily do more of these videos, but it won't be often because I'm pretty busy and it's hard to fit it all in. But if you do want to learn more about healthy eating, just let me know and I'll be happy to help you. But I'm now going to eat my meal, and I'd like to thank you for watching this video. So thank you and take care and God bless. Oh yeah.